In this video, we're diving deep into the world of pop music and talking about the guy who has been quietly shaping the sound for the last few decades, Max Martin. He is a super successful songwriter and record producer who is behind a whopping 27 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. That makes him the #2 on the list of all-time top writers for #1 songs, right behind the legendary Paul McCartney, who was responsible for all those early Beatles hits and much more. He is a true legend. But what is his story? And what is his secret formula to make hits? Carl Martin Sonderberg, known professionally as Max Martin, is a Swedish record producer and songwriter. He rose to prominence in the late 1990s with production credits on a string of hit singles, namely Britney Spears' Baby One More Time, the Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way, and NSYNC's It's Gonna Be Me. He grew up near Stockholm, Sweden. He benefited from Sweden's public music education programs as a child, which he credits for his musical foundation. Even as a teenager, music was his passion. He sang in bands and eventually joined a glam metal band called It's Alive. The band's success was modest, but it gave him a taste of the music industry and the drive to pursue it full-time. He even dropped out of high school to focus on music with the band. Time as a singer gave him much-needed experience, which would become pivotal when he started working with pop stars. Although Max Martin's band It's Alive didn't become huge stars, their record deal with Dennis Pop was a turning point. The deal opened doors for Max. While the band's album sales were low, he impressed Dennis with his songwriting skills. Recognizing his talent, Dennis Pop became his mentor and even gave him a new catchier stage name. After getting his foot in the door, he started learning the ropes at the label studio. He quickly proved his talents by co-writing and producing songs for other artists. In the mid-90s, his songwriting and production skills helped create a multi-million selling album, The Sign for Ace of Base, which solidified his reputation in the music industry. In 1995, his career got a major boost. His work at Cheiron Studios landed him a gig with Backstreet Boys as he co-wrote and produced some of their early hits, including Quit Playing Games With My Heart. These songs were successful in Europe and paved the way for Backstreet Boys' big break in the US. That same year, he also co-wrote and produced his songs for a critically acclaimed pop star Robin. By this point, he was a rising star in the industry. His success continued in 1998. He worked on albums for new artists and even took over Cheiron Studios after his mentor Dennis Pop passed away from cancer. Max Martin was a major contributor to Backstreet Boys' success. He wrote and produced 7 out of the 12 songs on their third album, Millennium, including the massive hit I Want It That Way. The song became the group's biggest hit and remains popular to this day. Millennium sold 1.1 million units in its first week in the US, setting a record for most albums sold in its debut week. He also produced Shape of My Heart, which was the biggest hit from the group's next album, Black and Blue. He continued his boy band domination when he produced the #1 hit It's Gonna Be Me by NSYNC in 2000. Then Max widened his horizon. He wasn't just behind Backstreet Boys' success, he was also a key player in launching Britney Spears' career. He co-wrote and produced her debut single Baby One More Time, which was originally offered to other groups, but became a massive hit for Britney. Fun fact, he wrote the hook to the song when he was tired and about to go to sleep.
Try not to wake up my wife, and then I say like, hit me baby one more time.
This song, along with others Max worked on her debut album, helped propel Britney to superstardom. He co-wrote and produced many of her hits, including Oops, I Did It Again, Lucky and Stronger, which helped solidify her status as a pop superstar. They eventually went their separate ways as Britney's music evolved, but they teamed up again for her 2008 album Circus, with Max co-writing and producing the song If You Seek Amy. He even produced her #1 hit 3. Due to their legacy, Britney and Max Martin will forever be linked in pop history. Max was also heavily involved in Kelly Clarkson's success. In 2004, they worked together on her album Breakaway, which resulted in hits like Since You've Been Gone. He also co-wrote her #1 hit My Life Would Suck Without You in 2009. Pop star Pink is another frequent collaborator of Max Martin. They've worked together on a bunch of her albums, creating hits like Who Knew, So What, Fucking Perfect, and Raise Your Glass, all of her biggest hits. He is still working with her on her latest albums, co-writing songs for Beautiful Trauma and Hurts to Be Human. He also has success working with R&B artists. He co-wrote and produced on the #1 hit DJ Khaled's Falling in Love for Usher in 2010. By the end of the 2000s, Max was a certified hitmaker for pop royalty. He collaborated with Katy Perry on 4 albums, writing and co-writing some of her biggest hits. He worked with her on her debut album One of the Boys, including the #1 single I Kissed a Girl and the top 5 single Hot and Cold. He then produced some of Katy's biggest songs. This includes all of the hits from Teenage Dream, Roar, and Dark Horse, all chart-topping songs that helped solidify her status as a pop star. He also co-wrote Part of Me and Wide Awake. On her 4th album Witness, Martin co-wrote numerous songs, including the lead single Chained to the Rhythm. By the early 2010s, Taylor Swift was a country superstar that was looking to cross over to pop. To achieve this, she recruited none other than Max Martin, and he was able to work his magic. Their teamwork resulted in the #1 hit We Are Never Getting Back Together, and other successful singles on her album Red, like the absolute bangers I Knew You Were Trouble in 22. They continued their working relationship when they co-wrote and co-produced a bunch of songs on Taylor's defining album 1989, including several #1 hits like Shake It Off and Blank Space. He also produced on Reputation, including the singles Ready for It, Endgame, and Delicate. Pop superstar Ariana Grande is another artist who benefited from Max Martin's hit-making magic. They started working together on her album My Everything in 2014, when he produced several of her chart-topping hits, including Problem and Break Free. Their successful collaboration continued on her next few albums, with Max co-writing and producing songs like Dangerous Woman and No Tears Left to Cry. He also produced 10 songs on Ariana's latest album Eternal Sunshine. Max has also collaborated with The Weeknd on a few albums, co-writing and producing some of his biggest hits. This includes the #1 hit Can't Feel My Face and Blinding Lights, which became the biggest hit of all time. He is undoubtedly a legend, but what makes Max Martin's songwriting and production special? First of all his songs have a very recognizable intro. I'm pretty sure you can name all those songs. It's clear that he focuses on melodies over lyrics. He lays down catchy melodies and finds words to fit into that scheme. He strictly sticks to the technique known as melodic maths. It's a concept used in the music industry to describe a specific approach to songwriting. This means prioritizing creating a catchy and memorable tune that sticks in the listener's head. The number of syllables in each lyric have to fit the melody, even if the line doesn't make sense. The lyrics are usually written in simple English, avoiding complicated words. He also emphasizes simplicity in his songwriting, as he strives for songs that seem simple and easy to remember, but are actually well crafted and use techniques to keep listeners engaged. He prioritizes clarity over adding new elements to the song for no reason. He is a master at removing any distractions in the song. He prefers to hit you right away with the chorus, as it usually comes within the first 50 seconds of the song. He also uses a technique known as subconscious targeting. The idea is to bypass the listener's conscious mind and create a song that feels strangely familiar or enjoyable on first listen. To achieve that, he uses the same melodies again and again, sometimes writing the chorus and the verses with the same melody. But he also believes in balance. He thinks that if the verses are a little messy, then the chorus needs to be clean. When working with pop stars, he also serves as a singing coach, instructing them on how to actually deliver the lyrics. In the music industry, songwriters typically create the song, and then the producer helps make it sound good. Max Martin's work was different. At Sharon Studios, the producers were like the band. They wrote the songs, played the instruments, and even recorded and mixed everything. Singers were brought in at the end, almost like guest stars, to add their vocals. For instance, Britney Spears only needed a week to record the vocals for the 7 songs that Max Martin and his team had already written and produced for the album. This shows that Max isn't just a songwriter. He and his team are a self-contained hit-making machine. Max's influence goes beyond his own hits. He mentored and inspired other successful songwriters. People like Dr. Luke and Shellback all credit him for their approach to songwriting. They all focused on melody first, making it catchy and easy to remember. Max has been called a grandmaster by these hitmakers, showing his lasting impact in the music industry. In the ever-evolving landscape of pop music, Max Martin remains a towering figure whose influence cannot be overstated. He has shaped the sound of multiple generations of pop music. So the next time you hear a song that is sugary sweet and gets stuck in your head for days, there's a good chance Max Martin had something to do with it. He may not be a pop star himself, but behind the scenes, he is the silent maestro of modern music.